It was a hot summer's day on the Greek island of Kos. The date was July 24, 1991. For the Needham family from Sheffield, it was meant to be a time of new beginnings, a fresh start under the Mediterranean sun. Young Ben Needham, a bright-eyed toddler with blonde hair, was just 21 months old. He was playing happily in the dust outside an old farmhouse his grandfather was helping to renovate. His grandmother was keeping an eye on him. One moment he was there, a tiny figure full of life, and the next, he was gone. The simple joy of that afternoon shattered into a million pieces, replaced by a silence that is now stretched across 34 long years. The panic must have been immediate and all-consuming. Imagine it. You look away for a second, and when you look back, the most precious person in your world is no longer there. The family searched frantically, calling his name into the warm Greek air. Their calls echoed across the hills surrounding the village of Heracles, but only silence answered back. The local police were called, and a search began, but the little boy had vanished without a trace. There were no witnesses, no ransom notes, nothing. It was as if the earth had simply swallowed him whole, leaving behind only his toy cars, and a family frozen in a state of shock and disbelief. This wasn't supposed to happen. Families go on holiday, they build new lives, they watch their children grow up. They don't watch them disappear into thin air. For Ben's mother, Carrie, and his grandparents, Eddie and Christine, that day marked the start of a living nightmare. The island that had promised them a peaceful life became the backdrop to their greatest tragedy. Every familiar path, every olive grove suddenly held a sinister possibility. Did someone take him? Did he wander off and have an accident? The questions started on that day, and for 34 years they have never stopped coming, each one heavier and more painful than the last. Today marks the 34th anniversary of that awful day. For most people, it's just another Thursday. But for the Needham family, July 24th is a date forever etched in their hearts with pain. It's a day that reminds them of everything they lost, and the answers they still so desperately need. The mystery of what happened to Ben Needham isn't just a cold case file. It is a raw, open wound for a family that has been forced to live in a state of limbo. They are trapped between the hope that he might still be out there somewhere, and the terrifying possibility that they may never know the truth of his fate. At the very heart of this tragic story is a mother's love. Carrie Needham has spent more than 3 decades searching for her son. She was just a teenager herself when Ben was taken, and her life was irrevocably changed in that single moment. While other mothers were celebrating first days of school, birthdays, and graduations, Carrie was traveling across Europe, following up potential sightings and pleading with anyone who would listen for information. Her fight for Ben has become her life's purpose. She has refused to let the world forget his face, his name, or the fact that his family is still waiting for him to come home. The emotional toll of this journey is almost impossible to comprehend. Carrie has lived her entire adult life under a shadow of grief and uncertainty. She has spoken about the guilt that haunts her, the what-ifs that play over and over in her mind. Should they have ever gone to Kos? Should she have been watching him more closely? These are questions no parent should ever have to ask themselves. Her pain is a constant presence, a heavy weight she carries every single day. Yet through it all, she has shown incredible strength, facing television cameras and journalists with a resolve that is nothing short of remarkable, all in the hope of finding her son. Carrie has always held on to the belief that Ben was abducted and is still alive somewhere. She feels it in her bones. This belief has fueled her relentless campaign, keeping the investigation in the public eye when it might have otherwise faded from memory. She has worked tirelessly with the media, launched appeals, and managed the Help Find Ben Needham campaign. For Carrie, giving up is not an option. "I will never give up searching for the truth even if it kills me," she has said. This powerful statement reveals the depth of her determination. It's a promise she made to her little boy all those years ago, and one she intends to keep. This search is not just for Ben, but for answers. The not knowing is a unique form of torture. Is he alive and well, with another family, completely unaware of his true identity, or did something terrible happen to him on that day? For Carrie and her family, any truth, no matter how painful, would be better than this endless, agonizing void. It is this desperate need for closure that keeps her going, that pushes her to make one more appeal, to follow one more lead, and to keep believing that one day, she will finally know what happened to her beloved son. The search for Ben Needham has been a long and painful road, littered with false hope. Over the years, there have been more than 300 reported sightings and leads. Each one arrives like a sudden burst of light in the darkness, bringing with it a dizzying surge of hope. Could this be it? Could this be the one that finally brings Ben home? The family's hearts leap, and for a moment, they allow themselves to imagine a reunion, to picture the man their little boy has become. They wait, holding their breath, as police investigate and DNA tests are carried out. It's a fragile, terrifying moment of possibility. But time and time again, that hope has been brutally extinguished. The light fades, and the darkness returns, deeper than before. In 2015, a man in Greece was tested, not a match. In 2023, a body found in a German river was checked against Ben's details. It wasn't him. Most recently, in the summer of 2024, a man in Denmark came forward, believing he could be Ben. He claimed he was taken from Greece as a child. Once again, the world watched as South Yorkshire police arranged a DNA test. The family waited in agony, only to be told in September that it was another negative result, another dead end. This relentless cycle of hope and disappointment is a form of psychological torture. Each false alarm reopens the wound, forcing the family to relive their trauma all over again. Carrie has described the experience as a roller coaster of emotions that leaves her feeling drained and broken. Yet, she has to pick herself up and carry on. The possibility that the next tip might be the real one is what keeps her going. It is a testament to her incredible resilience that she can continue to face this agonizing process, knowing that it will most likely end in more heartbreak. The police, both in the UK and in Greece, have invested significant resources into the case. In 2016, South Yorkshire Police conducted a major excavation at the farmhouse, acting on a tip that Ben may have been accidentally killed by a digger operator. The theory was that the operator, Konstantinos Dino Barkas, who died in 2015, had buried Ben's body to cover up the accident. Despite extensive searching, no trace of Ben was ever found. This lead, like all the others, ultimately brought the family no closer to the truth, leaving them once again with nothing but unanswered questions and the crushing weight of uncertainty. Today, 34 years after Ben vanished, the investigation remains open. It is a cold case, but it is not a closed one. South Yorkshire Police continue to work with their Greek counterparts, ready to act on any new, credible information that comes to light. The official file is thick with past leads, witness statements, and dead ends, a testament to a mystery that has stumped detectives for decades. The official police theory leans towards the tragic accident with the digger, but without Ben's remains, it remains just that, a theory. For Carrie and her family, it is not an answer they can accept without definitive proof. The search for Ben has also been kept alive by the public and the media. A dedicated Facebook page provides updates and allows people from around the world to share information. In Greece, the popular television show Light at the End of the Tunnel, which investigates missing persons cases, has featured Ben's story multiple times. These platforms ensure that Ben is not forgotten. They represent a collective hope that someone, somewhere, knows something. Carrie believes that people on the island of Kos hold the key to unlocking the mystery, and she continues to appeal directly to them to break their silence. What does the future hold for this case? With the passage of so much time, the chances of finding concrete answers diminish with each passing year. Memories fade, witnesses pass away, and physical evidence degrades. Yet advances in technology, particularly in DNA, mean that hope is never entirely lost. A single, small piece of information, a pang of conscience from someone who has stayed silent for decades, could be all it takes to finally blow the case wide open. This is the slim chance that the Needham family clings to. It is the reason they continue to speak out and ask for help. The story of Ben Needham is more than just an unsolved crime. It is a profound story of loss, perseverance, and a mother's undying love. It serves as a heartbreaking reminder that for the families of the missing, time does not heal. The search goes on, not just for Ben, but for the thousands of other missing people whose families live in the same agonizing limbo. Carrie Needham's fight is a fight for truth and for a peace she has not known for 34 years. Until she has answers, she will not rest, and the world should not forget the little boy who vanished on a sunny Greek afternoon.